Achieving sales success is very, very difficult in the current environment. We're now on a several-year slide of performance across the globe in B2B sales. B2C sales, I think, suffers similarly, although less data to prove that. But I think what we need to really think about, what is the formula for sales success in this modern environment? Because I think it's quite different to what it was before. When we talk about it at a basic level, if we're talking about individual people selling, there's more than just giving them the skills and tools to do that job. They are obviously critically important. People need the skills, but I think the skills they need today are different in some ways to what they were before. It's certainly evolved. And maybe even the tools, with the digital world we live in, the tools that we use and how we use them has definitely changed. But equally important on the left-hand side of the model here is actually the mindset of the individual. Ultimately, selling can be seen as a failure game. You need to fail and lose to win. So psychologically, it's a tough environment. And also trying to influence people obviously brings a lot of psychology and mindset into this particular discipline. So working on the mindset and the belief of people is equally as important as having the skills and tools to do the job. And then alongside that, the culture, the sales culture that exists in an organization is critical. The old days of sales functions working in isolation and almost having a different culture to the rest of the business no longer work. Businesses have to be integrated with their sales functions and aligned. And then the behaviors that are then driven from those people need to be in tune with what we want to achieve. So that's a kind of a core model to consider. There's some slightly more detailed stuff around that to think about, which is the right-hand side is very much mechanical. So, tools, sales processes, things that we use, very mechanical. The skills are fairly mechanical, but the left-hand side is quite dynamic. So the mindset, the culture piece is quite dynamic. So they're going to take some very different management and development for you as a leader. Expanding that into what would a formula look like to be successful? And we've put together this 6-step formula for you, which might help kind of lead you the way there. So what we say here is if you can, first of all, look at what we call defined zebras. Those that work with us will understand what that means. But ultimately, if you can really define what good clients look like, and then find ways to engage them in ways that interest them. So engage them by talking to them about why they should listen to you, why they're going to benefit if they work with you. And then drive that through some kind of sales process, which for most organizations they don't have, or if they do have it, they're fairly ineffective. But a process that actually works, which we call an advancement process. And then you add into that activity. There's always a need for lots of activity in sales, and there is still, even in this more scientific world, a truism that activity equals more sales. And then you add into that what we talked about before, which we call the sales science. So the right skills, the right tools, the right mindset, the right culture, and ultimately develop that into good disciplines, habits, and behaviors on a daily basis. So you drive out those old habits. If you do those things well, you will get to the position of sales success. So I'll leave you with that thought process around those 6 steps, and maybe just some reflection on, actually, are we strong in all those 6 areas? Because if you're not, that's probably where it's falling down. And again, as with all these frameworks we put forward, there are lots of things underneath these different elements that we can talk about on how you can stimulate and improve in those 6 areas. But think about the integral model. So you need sales mindset and sales culture, as well as sales tools and sales skills, and then think about that 6-step formula to ensure that you can achieve sales success.